Give me just a second, y'all. I'm going to get the word out and then we are going to get fired up. I'm having a proper old lady moment. Didn't even get my lights on. Good Lord. I am having a day today, y'all. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your host, Kalari GXC. Give me just a moment here. We are going to get the word out. Even if chat doesn't fill up, we do this format no matter what. We encourage live chat, but it's not always a guarantee because these are the early midterm Bonnet Chronicles. A lot of my chat don't get to fill up, and I'm fine with that because I plan on talking all these talking points no matter what. And as you can see here, I have the biggest drama of the day lined up to talk about, but it is on top of so much Republican fuckery. And it would help if I put my signature look on. I'm having a day, y'all. I'm telling you, I already started because it was a wash day routine. And then put my hair back in the little pigtail so that it dries. So when I'm starting the Bonnet Chronicles without my bonnet, it has been a busy day. Between trying to get writing done, trying to keep up with my hardcore goals, it has been a day, but I am good. And I think if you're conservative right now, you might not be able to say the same thing because between the last few months, instead of a bunch of October surprises, we have systematically watched the Republican Party implode from within. Everything from RNC money going disappeared because they let Rick I stole from Medicare Scott in charge of it, to the infighting because there are people who swore fealty to Trump and MAGA versus people who want to just be Republicans on their own, and there's been nothing but a mess. But if you're watching anything like the GA senatorial race between Reverend Ralph Warnock and Herschel Walker, who is a disappointing specimen, welcome to the chat beans of a human being. And I don't say he's disappointed in his athletic goals. He did his thing when he was in football. But this is not fucking the field. This is politics. This is where we need serious people. And instead, we are watching this man be puppeted by very egotistical white people who think, well, black people will go for him because he was football. No, most of Herschel Walker's support is racist ass white people who cannot see the difference between him and an actual accomplished smart man like Reverend Warnock, who are actually jealous of the fact that Reverend Warnock is an accomplished smart man. And that is a problem that we have to start taking seriously in our country. Because in a decent world, no matter how accomplished an athlete Herschel Walker is, he would have never felt the need to run for office. And now his family is being dragged into bullshit. All their dirty laundry is being unpacked. And while I don't feel completely sorry for Christian, because anybody who has been subjected to his innocuous TikToks, anybody who's had to deal with the fact that that man is fully LGBTQ. I'm not outing him. He is definitely LGBTQ, but he thinks that he can portray himself as this hot-blooded right-wing guy. No, it's an act. It's an act for attention. So I'm with the people who are like, I don't feel sorry for this man. He's a piece of shit. I do feel sorry for the situation. I think most of us, especially Gen Xers, have a very tenuous relationship with our parents. I talked to a friend earlier who had to cut ties. There are so many of us who have had to either announce or make it clear to our parents, you will not cross boundaries with us because they are toxic. They do things, they are about lives that don't gel with what we're doing with our lives, and it's hard. And then you add the mix that their GOP would take your parent, utilize them for political gains, and then all of their dirty laundry, like Herschel's four that they know of now, illegitimate kids, the fact that he pretty much coerced a woman into getting an abortion, the fact that he pistol whipped and allegedly, let me say allegedly so that I don't have to worry about lawsuits because they love doing that shit, allegedly abused a former partner who happens to be Christian's mom, it is a mess. And that's the kind of stuff that comes out when you run for office. I often tell people, because they love saying to me, Tin, you should run for something. It's flattering. If I didn't have the mental health problems, it would be one thing. But I also have family things that I don't want getting out. That anybody who wanted to dig just a little bit could find out and use against me or embarrass my family with, that I don't need. And I don't think people understand that until we get away from that kind of politics and that kind of campaigning. No, I would never put my family through that. I would never put myself through that. And what Christian Walker is learning, just like Herschel Walker is learning the hard way, is that you can't divorce yourself from your acts and that it reflects on your family. And of course, that was his last tweet. I don't know if it's still up. I know there was a lot of scrubbing because apparently Herschel wrote to him that I love you, you're still my son. And then apparently Dr. Oz, who I'm going to get to in a few minutes, I guess they have the same handler for their internet stuff. Because I still love my dog was his response to literally being a puppy murderer. The GOP is imploding. It is on a huge ass tailspin. And I don't understand how people are still treating these motherfuckers seriously. If you even listen to Herschel Walker talk for even a few minutes, you know that this man does not have it together. You ask yourself, what is the GOP doing? Why are they doing that? And the insidiousness of it is, it's for them. Well, people are voting for black people. We could put this meat puppet that just happens to have black skin, but will parody everything we need him to parrot and do everything we want him to do. He is literally the equivalent of a fucking puppet. And what's infuriating is they think that, oh, any black person will do. It doesn't matter if he's slow. It doesn't matter if CTE has wrecked his brain. We will put him against an accomplished man like Reverend Warnock and pit those who are jealous against those who are apathetic and see if we can get a win that way. And Herschel Walker should be ashamed of himself and upset that he's being used in this way. You should be retired. You shouldn't be running for anything. But these are the same motherfuckers who ran Tommy Tuberville, that Looney Tune name sounding motherfucker, and got that fucking Hail Mary against Doug Jones, a man who literally took down the KKK against the church bombings that killed 4 black girls. I will never let you live that down because Doug Jones should still be in the Senate. He's still doing his thing. He's still trying really hard for a democracy. But if you don't think this is a fucking blow to us doing that, you literally let a man like Tommy Tuberville, who not only doesn't understand what he's supposed to be doing in the halls of Senate, but I don't think he understands most basic human functions, into our Senate halls. Because to too many people, this is just a game. This is just a joke. You don't see the fallout until they come for our rights. You don't see the fallout until they lay out their plans. There's a full-ass reason why I got my absentee ballot filled out, about to deliver that shit. Because I can't risk my state falling in the hands to assholes like Tudor Dixon, who already want to go after public schools, who already want to go after freaking funding that we have built on cannabis and other things. Millions of dollars would be fucking wasted on stunts, like we've seen with DeSantis, like we've seen with Abbott. And getting to DeSantis, because I'm about to call him out, but I don't want to leave this Christian Walker thing alone, is the fact that the GOP know what they're doing. They know that there are some blacks that can be exploited. They know that there's some black people that can be fucking completely suggestible. And they know that black men are the root to a lot of our issues right now. And this isn't if you're a black man who gets his shit together and votes Dem, I know for a fact that you're not going to be upset by what I say. So I'm not even worried about pushback from black men who are doing the right thing. And welcome to the chat, Terry Antico. It is the black men who look at Herschel Walker and say things like, oh, he's right about family values, as you have a bunch of side chicks with children. It is the motherfuckers who are constantly trying to hustle for that appearance of money and power while you're overdrafting your shit over and over again. It's the fuckers who will tell my ass that I'm wasting my time, I'm on the plantation voting, who has never voted in their fucking life, that constantly complain. The contrarian brigade has been harming our community far too fucking long. And when we say harm reduction, and thank you for bringing that up, Beans, it is often on the shoulders of black women because we are the ones most harmed by this bullshit. And it's just infuriating at this point that they think they can put just any black man out there. But they know that articulate black men, they know that actually educated black men are not going to vote conservative. Most of their even freaking more eloquent, and I hate using that word because that was used against me a lot. Even their black GOPers that can semi-speak well, that can semi-pull off the part, when you press them for any facts, when you press the bullshit that comes out of their mouth, you see the lack of true intelligence. Looking at that one mushmouth motherfucker, I don't even remember his name. I think it's Keys or Scott or whatever. There are just not too many in their party. I seen the one conference they had where the one guy literally ate a banana and danced on stage. They are willing to fucking debase themselves for people that would see them swinging from gallows. This is why we can't trust any kind of coalition with black men until you get your shit together. Till you understand that harm reduction helps you too. And harm reduction means protecting all of us, especially black females. But yous aren't there. 80% of yous, yeah, 80% of yous got it together, realized that the Dems are the only ones that fucking see us. They're not perfect, but at least we have a better chance to survive it. Versus the GOP who will fucking lie in your face, say, how bad can it be? Yous are living in war zones. Sir, ma'am, a lot of us go to school. A lot of us have Ivy League degrees. A lot of us were raised in two-family households. What the fuck are you talking about? I know your Jim Crow laws and your dehumanization has broken up many black families, but there are black middle class. There are black wealthy. I hate to break it to you. But if you go by the bullshit that they're trying to pull with Herschel Walker especially, the damage to his family aside, it is a stinging belief that they can drive a wedge in our community by pushing those who really want to have and don't care how they get it versus those of us who just want to survive and protect what we have. And it is something our community is going to have to reckon with because it is an exploitable issue right now. And we are seeing it. Herschel Walker shouldn't be doing well at all. He should be doing like that Marcel Flowers kid who was completely, thoroughly trounced by Jim Clyburn. He should be laughed out of any kind of serious political discourse. But we are treating him like he is a viable candidate when all of his dirty laundry is coming out. And like I said, one of my parents has been dead since 2011. Another one, well, no, he did in 2001, actually. He died right around September 11th. And because of the way he died and because of the buildings coming down, we didn't even find out about it until after the fact because the coroner was so backed up. But if they pulled some of the stuff that he did and used it against me, it would be bad. And I'm not shy about talking about my mom. The fact of the matter is, politics is not a game for those with troublesome family members, unless it's the kind of trouble that you can go past. Even President Obama had troublesome family, but they wasn't on the level that could destroy their careers. And not everybody in America is that lucky. And right now, for the Walker family, anybody associated with them is having Herschel's dirty laundry unpacked onto them unpacked onto them no matter what they do, and it's the saddest part of this whole story. Do I feel sorry for Christian? Fuck no. Fuck no, because he gets what he gets. He is an attention seeking, just spoiled brat of a human being. But do I think it's right for people to pile onto this already sad family? Not really. I think the fact that he imploded is not shocking. I think after a while, you seeing your family shit constantly put up there when you're trying to be a clout chaser, especially, that has to be hard. Nobody gonna book you for anything. They be like, isn't your dad somebody who's like anti-family values? So no, I honestly, I really feel like you get what you get. But we're going to move on because there is so much to talk about tonight. And one of the things I need to stress about what happened in the aftermath of Ian is this should open people's eyes to what we need to do. Politics wise, we need to invest ourselves. My absentee ballot, I know you've seen the picture as I was scrolling up, is signed, sealed, ready to be delivered. Because I cannot risk the GOP running us into the ground like this. Lee County had an evacuation plan. Like most counties in Florida. I lived in Florida for 10 years. I know how serious evacuation plans are, especially when I lived in Tampa, which is almost surrounded by water. When we were moving to Tampa, we went across this one land bridge, long ass drive, just water on each side. If you have any kind of fear or phobia of that, I do not suggest traveling that bridge because it will get you thinking, oh my God, what if the wind knocks me into that shit? So they have serious evacuation plans. And I'm happy for you, Terry Antico. I love that so many of us can do our absentee ballots, keep safe, and make sure our voices are heard. The thing with Florida is Lee County is not the most wealthiest of counties. It's not the poorest either. It is somewhere in the middle from what I remember of it. But it's also, for me, insidious that even though they had an evacuation plan, it wasn't given to them until almost the last minute. And they are claiming, and I gotta say claiming, I hate this, because nobody's fully verifying what's going on, just like with COVID, that hundreds of bodies have been found from the storm that hit them. And this is a bunch of negligence that needs to, on top of everything DeSantis has been doing for your state. How much more blood tax do you want to pay? How many more bodies have to pay that ultimate price for you to understand that this man is not a leader? That this man only cares about himself? That this man is going to run your state into the fucking ground if you let him, and then rebuild it with luxury, unaffordable housing for New York assholes like Trump and his goonies to move in? Stop letting these motherfuckers ruin your state. Florida is a beautiful fucking state full of crazy ass people. I say this as a New Yorker. I felt at home in that state because y'all's crazy matched my crazy when I needed it. It was down home, down to earth, warm all the time, and beautiful. But storms do happen. And when you have actual leaders that help you, your state shouldn't fucking look like this. Your body shouldn't be piled up. You should have somebody that gives a fuck and shows empathy after it too, instead of trying to cover it up and point fingers. You should have the kind of funds not wasted on Martha's Vineyard for migrant human trafficking stunts and going towards actual recovery relief. And you can't even fucking trust your governor who's been putting out stuff about how people need to donate directly to his funding thing, which is run by his wife, which is a blatant ethics violation. Instead of things like the Red Cross and other charities that actually help any Floridian, no matter where they come from. There is a deep, deep issue within Florida, but it is not an insolvable issue. You have Charlie Crist running. You have people like Val Demings running. There are a lot of fucking people running that can make Florida the better state that it needs to be. I don't think people understand how much goes to Florida. Not only produce wise, trade routes, and everything else. Florida is a key state. It's why it's normally a battlegrounds in politics. But there is some shady shit that has been going on for years. One of my first elections down there was with the fucking hanging chads. I still say Gore won. It was my first real eye-opening election that, oh my God, these motherfuckers are gonna do us dirty. We have got to fight even harder. And while some Democrats heard that and we continuously push and do our part to vote, to canvass the phone bank, to help the cause, there are some that just give up. And you guys are the reason why DeSantis eked out a slight win. I don't care what you want to say about the man that ran against him. His personal life did get messy. His personal life got very, like, being found in a hotel room in questionable toxicology is what I'm more worried about. I don't give a fuck who he sticks his dick in. That's between him and his wife. I was more upset at the fact that he was abusing substances that hard, because we have seen far too many Dems fall down that road. Looking at you, Marion Barry. We have had far too many Dems who try to put up that front of a perfect face and are struggling with things like substance addiction. And it's something that we constantly call out. It's not shameful if you take care of it. It's only shameful when you allow it to rule your life and you still try to put on a front face that you've got your shit together. It always falls apart. And for Gilliam, sadly, that's what happened. And it makes me sad because I honestly still think he would have been better for Florida than DeSantis. But you have the choice in both Chris. You have the choice in Val Demings. There are a lot of people stepping up to run for things. One of the things that I loved about my absentee ballot was seeing so many Dems run for things like our school boards and stuff now, because we have seen what the Conservative Party want to fucking do. I believe you, Terry. I honestly think Andrew Gilliam really wanted to do what he needed to do for Florida, but he was struggling with so much, and it's just hard. That's why I tell people, when you tell just any old person that can talk or any person that seems smart that they should run for office, you just need to understand what people are going through, what could be used against them. Politics is not a game for anybody who can be exploited. Sadly, we have seen exploitable people do so much damage to both our party, to both our reputation. We are seeing what's going on in the GOP currently with the exploitable people. And this is what we need to get out of politics. And politics, for some, is not an entry-level position. If you want to start where you are getting into a school board position or getting into a treasurer position and moving your way up, that's one thing. But there are some people that think, oh, I scooped ice cream for a living, but I have a passion about not wanting to pay high taxes. I should run for president. I mean, good on you for trying, but you don't have a chance and you know it. I need people to start taking this seriously. Just like I wouldn't want my pilot to just be switching over from another whole ass career and not have any real flights under their belt, I definitely do not want an entry-level president. And I've seen the speculation again, and I've just been welcoming Team Pete people into my group again. We had our bad blood back in the day. Some of yous were insufferable. I'm not even going to hide or mince words. But there are a lot of yous that understand that we support Pete Buttigieg. We support his trajectory. It's just not in 2024. And if you're following me right now, your Team Pete, because you think I'm going to push for him in 2024, I suggest you hit that unfollow and block button really quick, because he is not ready for that yet. That is why he's taking the trajectory. I do believe that not only in transportation secretary, he's getting firsthand knowledge on a state-by-state basis on how to negotiate, what they can pinpoint helping people. But I also think that he does not want to overshadow this administration that he works well with it. I don't understand these people who are trying to pit politicians against each other. That shit's what's imploding the GOP currently. And I don't want to come across as hostile to anybody who still has factions, because even though I don't put the emojis in there, I'm very visibly K-Hive. I don't hide my support for VP Harris. I just don't need to be in your face constantly with people about it, because I support so many Dems. But I do support her future trajectory as the first president, female U.S. president. I think we need to be smart about this. If we play our cards right, we will have a ton of firsts coming down the pike. If we play our cards right and do our bare minimum political investment, we will see a better America in spite these motherfuckers. But there are way too many people who are legitimately against anything good, and they are loud and they are wrong, and we have got to stop giving them sway. Looking at you, Dilbert guy. I can't believe I even have to address this, and I probably shouldn't, but I need to say this much about Scott Adams' equity rant. Men like him just continuously unpack their mediocre baggage on us, whether we want it or not. And welcome to the chat, Fulfay. I call you Fluffy too, but I like calling you Fulfay. I just feel like his rant on equity is so innocuous and stupid at this point, because no matter how much he complains, no matter how much him and, oh, what's his name, that old writer guy, I don't want to blame the Jurassic Park guy because I don't think it was him. It was one of those really rich mystery writer guys. And it's just a whole coalition of white men lamenting how the world is changing and they're being left out. And it's like, you own a majority of the fucking wealth. All of the entertainment is still centered around you, and you're complaining that white men are being oppressed? Get the fuck out of here. What? And then when I really unpacked Dilbert and the type of people that actually like Dilbert, because I went through my phase where I was a pick-me girl. I went through my phase, especially back in the 90s when I worked the corporate life, where I was trying so hard to fit in. And I thought, oh, I'll put these little Dilbert comics up in my office and act like I'm down. But when you really unpack the Dilbert cartoon, it was like a toxic carbon copy of workplace life, of microaggressions, sexism, racism, of a boss who was fucking out of touch and idiotic, but making a lot of fucking money because he's the boss. And you covered for him because you were smart and you really wanted to make your bag. But most of the time, you were literally holding up an idiot who didn't deserve where he was, but knew people who knew people. And when you look at the Dilbert cartoon, and if you're especially a woman or black or POC or LGBT, and you don't get some kind of PTSD flashbacks of having people treat you like you're less than, having people talk over you, putting the idea out there, and then having some white guy or white woman try to act like they said it first, I don't know. But 77 newspapers got tired of your shit. And it's not because white men are the victims. It's because you're a dime a dozen. And where you dropped off, there are like dozens more of you that can pick it up. You don't see the creative Garfield complaining about equity or equality because he kept it simple, stupid. He just draws his cartoon. He keeps his shit on the down low. And if you're going to be controversial, at least be creative. Doonesbury, the guy from Doonesbury weirds me out. I've loved the cartoon since I was a little girl. Watching him in interviews, listening to him talk, I'm fully convinced that if he thought he could, he would start a fight club. I don't fuck with white men like that. They're a little bit too on the level of, I would blow shit up if I thought I could get away with it, leads. I'm not saying that's him. I'm just saying he gives me that vibe. So I don't fuck with a lot of cartoonists, but it's because so many of them are self-righteous, entitled motherfuckers, even when they are saying things that are pretty much, yeah, that's a given. The guy that made Doonesbury especially was very on point about politics, very on point about social issues. He just had the typical, I'm doing this from a white male perspective lean that didn't always resonate with people like me. That's just the reality of our world. We allowed these motherfuckers to manifest destiny their way into controlling all the narratives. They barely think, barely function, put a lot of work on other people's shoulders, and then act like they're the smartest people in the room. And even when they show intelligence, they're so arrogant about it that it's infuriating. And it's got to stop. And we have got to stop allowing their whines, their leans, and everything else to dictate our conversation. We are literally a month out from the midterms. And I don't give a fuck what the guy from Delbert says. Yes, the world's changing, Scott. And if you can't change with it, that's a you problem. That's not a us problem. What I explained to kiddo earlier today, because we were talking about, because unlike some parents, I talked to my kid about accepting who you are, but also accepting that this world is going to change, about being comfortable in who you are, acceptance that you might change. Things about us as humans have to. When you're rigid, you will break in a system that isn't meant to stay one way. If that was the case, we would all still be living in caves, foraging, scavenging, and outrunning giant lizards. This world has changed. It's going to continue to change. And there are too many people like hell bent at this point on either bringing about destruction because they don't want to get smarter, they don't want to evolve, they don't want to grow and actually emotionally mature. So they dump a Bible instead of reading it and want to try to force us all into this weirdo Christo fascist bullshit. Where women are less than, unless they seem a little bit smarter and they can curl others into being fuckable meat bags and baby incubators. And we have got to get away from that. It is embarrassing at this point. With all the technology that we currently have, with all the abilities to be smarter, to understand that the world doesn't have to work in such basic fucking serfdom ways. I said it before and I mean it. We have literally allowed ourselves to become neo-serfs, working ourselves to death so that people that seem above us, even though they're not really above us, live a cushy, comfortable life, can flex, can shove penis rockets into fucking outer space. All on the backs of people who never feel good enough. A society divided by anxiety, by looks, by stupid, superficial things. Because if we're all divided and anxious and upset about that, we don't think about ways that we can make this system better. We don't think about ways that we can improve ourselves. We keep ourselves stuck on stupid, bragging about, I only know English. And then when you challenge them that especially American English is just a broken microcosm of different languages, that I learned a lot of German because of the fact that a lot of American words literally steal from the German language. It's crickets. Because these people don't want to learn. They don't want to use their brain. These are the same motherfuckers whose ancestors don't mind, built massive wealth off of the black bodies that they abused, used, and bred into fucking submission. But they never bothered to amplify and better themselves. Because it was always about comfort. And I'm not about attacking people who just want to live a comfortable life and not cause harm. But way too many of you fuckers want a comfortable life on the harms of others, and you're a problem. And your party has been causing harm to migrants. Your party has been causing harm to women. Your party has been causing harm to black people, and it's got to stop. And any of you POC adjacent who think you would be safe if their agenda just plays out, they'll round your ass up too. You've been in internment camps before. It all. Who the heck? One moment, y'all. We have an issue. Give me just a moment here. Because I don't normally get UPS issues, but we are mailing out a lot of books. We have an issue in your shipping address. Check here. This better not be a scam. I'll do this later. That is the nature of mailing out a lot of books. We are mailing out books regularly now, and I want to thank everybody who helped out with that because you're making my dream come true. And all my mods, you should have signed books soon, so I'm excited about that. But getting back to my rant about the GOP, the cruelty is the point for them. And what bothers me about this is just how acceptable this arrogance and attitude is. And I don't understand why you aren't helping your people. Bodies are piling up under your states being run by GOP governors. Senators blocking measures that can not only help your family out, but could ease the weight of debt. You would rather work yourself out bitterly and angrily to the grave, blaming everybody but yourself, when all you have to do is vote for somebody that wants to make things easier for you. But they won't just center your identity. And that has always been the reality for Black pragmatists. Most of the people I vote for don't look like me. But it is about harm reduction. It is about getting from my community and beyond. It's about understanding that benefits to my community have to benefit people who even hate me, because the reality of the situation is a better America benefits everybody. Some of you don't want that, and you are a detriment to us. You're a detriment to the progress you say you're for. Looking at you, Justice Dems. That whole progress for me and not for thee is dangerous right now, especially with the midterms coming up. We cannot afford to let selfish people hold us back from America that could be better. We currently have two amazing people in our White House who came in from nothing, who cleaned up a huge ass mess and still have fires to put out. Dealing with shit from abroad, dealing with domestic stuff, and an ever-changing world full of natural disasters and man-made disasters, full of sickness and disease and so much shit that are out of our control. And when we humans finally stop vying for control and just start trying to make ourselves better, that is when we will finally start moving towards the evolution that we need to get to. We're not meant to stay in one place. I don't believe that. But so many people fight against the changes that are going to happen, whether we accept them or not. And that is a problem that we have to stop ignoring, because we have way too many angry, anxious people with access to firearms. Instead of a society that realizes that that level of violence is no longer necessary. That level of violence solves nothing. That level of violence causes a gut and a hole in us that we cannot repair. We are not going to get there without a lot of pain, because there are way too many people like, my gun is my power. I need power. I was raised to believe that a man has to have power. I was raised to believe that a woman needs to be protected by that power. That illusion of power has damned so much of our society. But it's worse here in America because it's conflicting with the fact that we are trying to have a democracy. We are trying to have people's voices heard. But you can't have that when you have people that are so amped to be powerful over others, who have based their whole identity over being stronger or perceived stronger than people, who have made their whole identity in being better than everybody when they're really not. Because the thought of equality scares the fuck out of them. Well, who can I be if everybody's equal? You can just be you. You can be content in being who you are. I know that scares the shit out of people we are so driven since we're kids, especially us who are older. Oh, what will your peers think? That's why I love the part of my brain, the social part of my brain, that says, I don't give a fuck. It never really did. People give it cutesy names like introvert and whatnot. No, I just legitimately got to a point in my life where people's opinions just don't hold that weight anymore. It just can't. I don't see how you can survive. When I was at my lowest, when I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I still here? It was when I was trying so hard to be accepted by people. Even people that I knew weren't really accepting of me. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I chasing validation from people when I don't even validate myself? And when I started working on that, when I started working on liking what I see in the mirror, when I started working on amping up the stuff about myself that I know is good, when I shed all the negative shit, and I know that I'm far from the only Gen Xer that has negative shit from family, negative shit from former friends that you hold on and carry, like fucking unwanted baggage, constantly in the back of your head telling you that you're not good enough, that you're not this, you're not that. When you pack that shit and throw it away, and you start looking at you and saying, you're good. I don't care if anybody else likes you, but I like what I see in the mirror. That sets you on such a better path in life. Because can't nobody, and there'll be people who try because they still get their dopamine hit from it, take that from you once you have it. Once you are solidly your own cheerleader, once you are solidly able to like stuff about yourself, you see the fucking people for who they are. They're paying attention to you, not them. And that's why I tell people all the time, especially on Twitter, because you get them all the time. Those people that troll you, those people that are like, follow me back. And it's like, I will, but you're not going to like me. Too many people do that all the time. They're like one thing I say, and then they want to fight me on another thing. And I'm allowed to give my opinion. That is the one thing I will challenge anybody in the fucking 10 years I've been on Twitter to show me where I've changed. I've always been brutal, blunt, honest, and open about who I am, because I think when you fake a funk, when you fake a persona or act online, it crumbles. So I would rather give people my unapologetic self, messy and all, and just whoever wants to kick it with me, kicks it with me. Whoever doesn't, doesn't. I am not going to play the games of trying to be liked by everybody. I think that existence is exhausting. And if I can be a real, and it's kind of overwhelming sometimes that so many people like what I have to say on a daily basis as it is. It's humbling sometimes. But the reality is situations when I turn that machine off, I don't think about the majority of people. And that is just how my brain has always worked. And I would rather be honest about that than, oh, guys, I'm really a nice person. I love you all the time. No. And I think that's why so many people kick it with me, because they're not getting those false platitudes. They're not getting love bombed by me. You're getting I'm like a fucking cat. The best way I can put my personality as a functioning sociopath is there are times where I like attention. There are times where I can show emotion and other stuff. But most of the time, I need you to leave me alone or I'm going to scratch at you. And that's just the reality of dealing with somebody with my personality type. And most people gel with it. I have a lot of cat people who I think they like me because they're like, you remind me of my cat. I'm good with that. I wish I could be. Greg is more like a dog person, which cracks me up because we get along so well. He is very likable. He's a bit more introverted now. I think that's a lot of my influence. Sorry, not sorry. But he is willing to talk to more people. He loves going out. He's trying to get me to be a bit more social again. And that's just not my life. I am very to myself. I have been that way for a long time, even when my family did big gatherings. I was always a kid in the corner with a book. That is just, I like my solitary lifestyle. I'm okay with that. I'm much more sociable online than, and people who deal with me online think I'm just the life of the party. And it's like, no, I'm a pretty boring bookworm woman. I just, it's easier for me to convey myself online than it is face to face a lot of times. And if I'm comfortable with you, yeah. People who hang out with me that are friends with me know that once I feel comfortable and I'm not like in that analyze mode that I do with all my friends, unapologetic about it, yeah, I can open up, I can relax. But I'm always on the initial meetup with people worried about the stuff that I say because I can be very brutal with friends. If you want to unpack all your business with me, you're opening it up for me to express what I feel about that business. If you say stuff and want advice and then get upset because the advice I give you seems a bit harsh, especially if you're doing something openly stupid, then why do you come to me? I don't think people understand that, and yet they want to be best friends. They always, oh, BFF, until I am very brutally honest. Somebody I used to like on Twitter didn't like the fact that I feel they're an instigator. I am very open with people I respect when I feel they're stepping out. They can take it however they want. We can part ways. I think if I consider you a friend, I would rather convey how I feel about how you're acting, and I would want the same respect if I was standing out or doing something detrimental than for you to act like, oh, I can't say that to them. It'll hurt their feelings. Mm-mm. And that is why I said real friendship has always been an enigma to me. I feel like a lot of people play friendship. You don't understand that real friends are almost like family if you're good. But too many people just want that superficial friendship. Oh, I got a lot of friends. Friends here, friends there. They all like me. And most of these people are like, I don't even really know that person. They say we're friends, but I can't reach out to them. And I'm trying to veer people away from that. I want people to build solid bonds. And I know people are like, oh, it's on the internet. You can't really do that. Yes, you can. The only person stopping you from reaching out and making connections and actual relationships are you. And perfect time at Axiom Wolf. The fact of the matter is, he and I met online in a freaking mud game. We just kept talking to each other. He was one of the few people online that I got to talk to unfiltered. He got all of me. And even during some of my worst non-lucid days when the schizophrenia was really bad, I wasn't treating it with medicine. I was in complete denial that I had it. And having my then best friend stick it out through those days, helping me deal with some of the stuff that I still can't really openly talk about, it was good. And I think a lot of people don't understand what building that kind of friendship and relationship is like. Being able to trust somebody, being able to be your unapologetic self and not feeling less than because it's not for everybody. But having him say that it's for him, it means the world, because a lot of times when you have these kind of mental health issues, you're in your head and you wonder if why are you here, because you can't have those normal things, and you got to get out of that mentality because you can, but you have to find somebody that's willing and able to deal with those days, willing and able to help you see better and want you to see better together. And I know it feels impossible because sometimes people put really unrealistic expectations out of people. I would never try to push my partner into things that he's not into. I accept things about him that he's okay with. He accepts things about me that I'm okay with. That is what a partnership is. I wouldn't want to date anybody like me. I am a lot to deal with. And I'm sure he wouldn't want to date anybody who's like it. Yes, you do. Stop playing. He's saying that for the safety of the other room. I think one of the things that works for us as a couple is we talk. I know it seems cliche. I know a lot of relationship counselors charge you tons of money for it. Nice. You do know I got a powerful kick. No, for real though. Just talking about anything and everything, even before we started dating, was nice, but not closing the door to that communication after we started dating, because that's what best friends do. You crazy. I think a lot of couples just go into the relationship with initial attraction, which is always a good thing. I was attracted to Axiom Wolf. Same thing with him. But I think when you have that solid foundation of being able to talk to each other, even when your hobbies don't always align, which we got lucky. We're into a lot of the same things. We grew up around the same time era. We've watched a lot of the same shows. He was into certain things that, okay, I'm not a Power Rangers fan, but he was. I'm into a lot of things anime wise that he probably looks at me like, okay, thumbs up. Tell me when you're done with that. I'll be back in. And we're both into comic books and the like. But even if we didn't have those same geeky similarities, the fact that we can talk to each other about just about anything and everything under the sun helps. And I don't brag when I say we don't fight. We don't need to. When we first started, like really, even before we got serious, but when we started really regularly talking, I can name maybe one time that we had a serious argument, and it was just over something stupid. And I think after a while, we started to realize that this isn't how we want to communicate with each other. We don't need to hurt each other to get a point across. And I feel like a lot of people go into relationships thinking, I got to keep a certain way, I got to present myself a certain way. And then when the real you comes out, it causes conflict. But when you get into a relationship with somebody that accepts every bit of you, when you can be openly honest with each other, when you can talk to each other, it opens so much and it makes the relationship feel real. For at least that's how my mind works. And like I said, I'm not saying this to brag because I really don't like those people either that put all the aspects of their shit out there. So I keep that balance. I don't need people seeing every aspect of my home life. I think that's the problem with the current digital age and clout seeking. It's very lucrative to put a lot of your business out there, especially if you're a mess. Especially if you're somebody people want to gawk at, point fingers at. And that is a dangerous path because YouTube incentivizes that with a lot of money. Twitch incentivizes that with a lot of money. And I've literally watched people damn near kill themselves, if not go down that path, trying to chase that clout goblin. I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for my family. So I veer away from that life. And if you feel called out by what I'm saying, I'm not sorry. Because I am watching so many people, I'm constantly on YouTube now, just erode themselves for clicks and views. And is it worth it? I don't think it is. When you could be your unapologetic self without being a fucking crying, eating mess and destroying everything about yourself. I will never legit get that. And fuck a family channel. When I originally started podcasting back in the day for gaming stuff, kiddo every once in a while, because you can't tell a toddler they can't come into your room, didn't care. So he would show up on my podcast, help me interview sometimes. It was cutesy, but that was the limit to the exposure I was going to give my home. And it was enough. Some people literally tuned in to those old gaming casts just so they could hear either him busting in or him taking over the interview. It was adorable. But I know that there were people that were like, you should start a family channel. And I was like, no. My kid is adorable, but he's not, I don't need to make a profit off of that. I don't want to exploit and ruin his childhood by sticking a camera in his face. Yeah, funds would be nice. There were times, especially when we were living in North Carolina, that the struggle was real. But you know what I did instead? I took a fucking crappy customer service job and made extra money that way, getting yelled at by people because they left stuff on a register. That's just what you do when you want to take care of your kid. You don't stick a camera in their face and hope sponsors give you money from ruining their childhood. And I'm not sorry to call these people out. You're letting them make millions off of destroying their kids' lives. And these kids are going to be messed up adults. I'm just glad that back in the day we didn't have digital stuff, because I know a few of us would have had the kind of parents that would have exploited our pain for clicks and views. And it's just sad that this shit is going on, and it's sad that calling it out feels so revolutionary. It shouldn't be. People need to stop giving these people amplification. These businesses need to stop giving them their dollars, because they are literally hurting their kids doing this garbage. And I didn't want to even get off on that tangent, but it just seen so much in the last few days going on YouTube with that stuff. And it's hard not to call it out, especially when I have my content on there and I have future content that I plan on putting on there with my friend. And I'm just sick and tired of people exploiting the darkest recesses of our digital age. I am looking forward to the digital enlightenment, but I know it is going to come with desperation. We've got idiots like Kemp who literally made a Stacey Abrams meme mocking the fact that she was on Star Trek, and it was like, you just made her look better. This is all these desperate dummies have, is personal insults and attacks that don't even work. You have their attacks on Beto, who wants to do better by Texas. And thank you for bringing him up earlier, Beans. Because too many people want to attack Beto for being geeky. They brought up his D&D days back when he was running for Senate, too. And it's like, I play D&D. Plenty of people want to always contact me about being a fun geek and smarter and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I am, but you still think I'm good enough to run for office, so I don't understand the point you're making. But before we get ready to wrap up, because I almost forgot about this part, and this is why I keep show notes, I'm just going to scroll down to see if I can even find my response to this lady, because I was upset by this. And I was upset by this on several levels. And I need to be careful about staying in my lane with stuff. But I definitely want to address this as well as I can as somebody who identifies as a straight black woman. You know, I've never tried to act like I'm LGBTQ. I think I need to be honest about that I am definitely adjacent. I definitely support my friends and family who are openly LGBTQ. I believe that humans live on a spectrum, and I do believe in gender fluidity. But I cannot declare myself as openly LGBTQ because that's just not how I live my life. But when I see something that attacks them, I feel like I can step up and say things. And I'm trying to find this young lady's thing because she's running for a Senate seat right now. And if I have my way, she's not going to get far. I want to find her thing though, so I can properly show what not to do. And this is supposedly, allegedly, somebody who is in the LGBTQ plus, and it's like, it's kind of like that weird Caitlyn Jenner bullcrap. She says off the wall shit, knowing what she went through as a transgender woman, and just wants to close the door. Wants to walk through it, be treated with respect, ignore the haters, but continue to dump on people who aren't able to just transition. And it's fucking messy. I don't know if I'm going to find this lady's crap, and I might have to save it for Friday. I tweet so much. The basic gist of it is this young lady running for rep decided that she was going to, oh, here, oppression thing was ridiculous too. There we go. Her name is Elle. She is currently running for a certain position. Ah, love when I transition over and it scrolls down. That word salad was her take on oppression, which I am not going to read again because it fried my brain cells the first time. This young lady, I blocked her, but she is apparently running for office somewhere. I would not give her my vote. She claims to be for LGBTQ, but she doesn't understand what the word children is used in the context of people who are not only openly gay and trans, but had to be taken in by people known as den mothers. They're called children because they are raised in homes from the homes that they were originally kicked out of by their biological parents. We've seen that if we grew up in the LGBT culture, especially in the New York LGBT culture, which they highlighted very finely in shows like Pose. For all the drama that they added to Pose, all the side stories and stuff, there was a lot of realities about a lot of LGBT life in New York City. How a lot of them had to create homes, and they had mothers and fathers that weren't their biological mothers and fathers, and calling them children wasn't, oh, we're looking at children. It's just what is said about young LGBT, especially young LGBT who are coming into their own, who are, as the thread she was attacking, I think she's running in Ohio too. I'll find out by Friday. We're saying are being more comfortable and slaying and Men who feel comfortable wearing makeup and dressing a certain way, women who feel comfortable in their gender and not conforming to the, oh, you've got to be cutesy, you've got to do this, you got to do that. The world has changed. So when you have somebody like Elle deciding that this dissent in the LGBT community is lockstep with somebody, blam and claws, uh, it was a bunch of white woman stuff. And if you're a white woman who can identify allegedly as marginalized because of your LGBTQ status and don't understand that coming for black and brown LGBTQ is a problem, but then you want to lament that the clause and everything's coming out against you, you literally tried to accuse them of going after children by using the word children. There's a problem within our marginalized groups with people trying to get any kind of attention. And the fact that this person is running for office under the whole marginalized banner, when you're throwing marginalized people under a bus and rolling over them with lies, no, this has to stop. And white people, if you want to be allied with all of us, if you want that coalition, we have to call stuff like this out. Because it's problematic. That nonsense is problematic. Her follow-up tweets are problematic. Her oppression for the sake of oppression is wrong, and it ruins counter to the founding principles of this nation. I feel like she just strung a bunch of words together trying to seem smarter than she is. And the fact that she's trying to seriously run for office gives me pause. But I feel like she's not going to get far because she has not learned enough in life. And it's sad because we do need more people from every walk of life representing us in the halls of Congress and stuff. But we need people who understand that you got to look beyond yourselves. And unfortunately for Elle, she's not one of those people. But I'll talk more about idiot politics on Friday night. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, get some dinner cooking. I am so excited, y'all. That Presto Stuffer dinner was a hit last night. Kiddo loved it. I loved it. Greg loved it. We are happy. I got some pizza dough made for the weekend because you always make it a few days before if you want really good dough. There are just so many combinations I'm going to do with that freaking waffle maker because you don't just make waffles in it. I am just so happy about it. And like I told everybody, I'm not an influencer. I wasn't trying to push or peddle anything on you that I get a kickback from. I was just thinking along the lines of something that you can cook with and save money, especially those of us who have both gas and electric bills. This is going to save you some money. I am telling you right now, I am so excited about cooking this fall because I won't have to run my stove until around the holidays, and I'm excited about that. But I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. Thank you all so much for sitting in. Thank you everybody who has been supporting the book. Sales are still going strong. I am just so overwhelmed by this. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, everybody who sat in. I will see you all on Friday. Thank you so much, Fluffy, Terry Antico, Beans. Respect if you're out there. G Feldman, I know you've been busy too, and you've been so supportive of the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I will see you in a few days.